welcome everybody to our first Innovation Leadership and Organizational Culture session. We have 4 today, and we're excited to kick off the first session with the great speakers that you'll meet shortly. I'm Karina Jensen, founder of Global Minds Network and co-leader of the Innovation Leadership SIG. And my co-facilitator is here, Alex Booth.
Yes, hi, I'm Alex Booth. Just do a lot of work in innovation in general, but also in the Innovation Leadership SIG with Karina as one of the core team leads. So, yeah.
So we'll be facilitating today, and we're going to move quickly since we only have an hour, and we want to make most of the time for the speakers. So just to remind everyone, each speaker has 15 minutes, and then so they'll have about 10-minute presentation, more or less, and then there will be some time for questions. So make sure and add your questions in the Q&A as the presentation goes along. Add your questions, and then of course you have the chat for comments. And then I will be the timekeeper as well. So you'll see these little flashcards, 1 minute, 0, right? And we are ready to go. With our first speaker, I'd like to introduce Letizia Migliola, I hope I pronounced that well, and Laura Rossi, who will present on the 7 trends to innovate people engagement.
Okay, here we go. So, thank you, Karina. Buongiorno a tutti. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, we are happy to be here with you. My name is Letizia Migliola, and today with Laura Rossi, we are going to present you 7 levels to innovate and increase people engagement in organizations. We are from Italy, we work in Milan, and we are 2 of the 4 co-founders of Evidensia. Evidensia is a consultancy and management innovation company. We do come from a long experience in organizations, as managers first and consultants then, tackling issues of people wellness and productivity, and looking for the best formula to happy performance and to great business results at once. Our 7 levels model come out from this yearly experience, from professional understanding, from the reflection on organizational dynamics, and mostly from the conversation with the persons that in the organizations live every day. So why we decided to focus on people engagement? First, because there's a problem there. A well-known Gallup research of 2015 stated that only 30% of people in organizations feel engaged in their daily experience. And that engagement comes from critical relationships. It was 5 years ago, but we can see that people engagement is still a big challenge for managers. Second, there's an opportunity. Tea Trends, that is an Italian trend searching company, tells us that people, connection, and empathy are 2 of the leading trends of 2021. And third, we have some other evidence by the present time. Harvard Business Review underlines the increasing impact of human factor in post-corona change in organizational identity and culture. Starting from these inputs, let's go to see how to keep our best people with us. We can say that people engagement is human or does not happen. And this is so relevant since the future of business is people, as this meaningful visual culture of Getting Void reminds us. But here's the point. Personally, I don't know even a company that claims they don't want to engage employees. Yet almost everyone fails in that. Why? What happened in the COVID-19 work relationships of the past 2 months can give us a relevant clue. Many managers are struggling now remotely with people engagement. And they struggle because for most of them, this was not a priority before the crisis, not perceived as an element of responsibility and impact on the business. Now the priority on people engagement is an urgency, and we need to find a way. In our experience, the need and desire at the base of people engagement is authenticity. This is the utmost trend, and I am me becomes the motto. People love to discover and express their true self. 7 are the main ways, in our opinion, we can guide them to feel aware, solid, open, mindful, passionate, disruptive, and connected. And for each trend, we will see the why and the how to. First trend, I am aware. Don't be the best, be the only. Being aware sets aside frustrating comparisons and let personal talent flourish. You must start from awareness to go for engagement and use their own specific talent. Being aware is to make shine the value of diversity. How to do that? It is not a one-button process. You have to practice true listening, and starting from that, the very key is feedback. First, listen to get inside of your people. Then go with feedback that each person can feel as its own for content and relationship style. Feedback, it is continuous dialogue. It is going from the past to the future, starting from the critical situation and confronting on how it is possible to manage it better next time. Must also be an reinforcement to positive behaviors. So we can say that feedback is your simple, powerful, magic way to awareness. Trend number 2, I am solid. This level of engagement is the best known and usually practiced in organizations. It means to hook up people by making them powerful on the professional side, in competencies, about tools, in achieving results. People like very much to feel competent, mastering their jobs, to contribute to the success in company. To feel solid generates engagement, and it is very often related to the most open attitude towards innovation. Because if I feel to master my job, I won't fear to leave the shore and explore new lands. How to develop this powerful sense of solidity? Trust in people's qualities. Accept approaches that are other than yours. And use the challenge in small doses. A daily task is the quickest way to improve the sense of professional soundness. Trend number 3, I am open. Why is this trend a trend in engagement? Because there's still a contradiction between the experience we have outside and inside organizations. Outside, all the things people can enjoy and explore and learn in the world by the multidimensional and hyper-connected reality we live in often disappear when we enter organizations, where the horizon becomes limited by roles, procedures, expected results. You have to widen the perspective at work and to make people feel free to raise their sight and bring the outer world inside. This increases energy, fulfillment, quality of work, and therefore sense of engagement. How to do it? Contamination is the way, but keep it simple and feasible. Just take a task assignment and put a piece of work into it. An example, ask people to look for different solutions to a very usual problem by exploring what other companies do. Not only the competitor ones, also companies from different business sectors. Once people begin to fly over the usual site, they will like it so much they won't stop, never again. And here comes the trend number 4, I am mindful. This level of engagement deals with the connection to the present. Branding is the art of recreating yourself on a daily basis, we say with the gaping void. More and more people are interested by what happens in their daily experience. Once-a-year events like performance or competence evaluations, company conventions, success celebrations have lost their flavor. Satisfaction, sense of achievement and impact, quality of the relationships have a daily horizon. And the present is where things happen. So how to? As a manager, if you want to keep your people engaged, don't get lost in the past and link the future to the present. Play your leadership role each day, day after day. And promote, for example, kudos exchange to enhance the perception of small daily positive things and mutual contribution. Put a memo on your desk. Don't lose the sense of today. And the trend number 5 is I am passionate.
Passion is the very root of motivation. When you do something you love, you don't lose energy, feel less tired, naturally go forward and pursue excellence. So no more words are needed. This is anyone's personal experience. How to bring passion into our people's working experience? 2 are the magic keys, listening and emotions. To discover people's real talent, the one they would love to express, you have to listen to them. And further than this, go and ask how they would like to feel at work to give the best. Talk about emotions. It is one of the most powerful questions you can ask. Explicit your emotions. What makes me feel good at work? What worries me? And so on. And ask people, what gives them satisfaction? What makes them feel part of the project? What worries them? In what conditions they would not like to be? So, listen, listen, listen. Trend 6. I'm disruptive. It's not a matter of being a rebel. Some of us are not interested in it. The point is to make the difference. We all are interested in it and motivated in making the difference. We need to be disruptive because there is an increasing need of innovation in our companies. Nowadays, sometimes to survive. We have to push our people to think and act in a new way and to make this new way engaging for them. How to do this? Work on your mistake management. Everyone makes mistakes. The way you manage it as a leader is the key. When mistakes are not a cause of blame, but an occasion to discuss new possible ways to do things, people feel positive protagonists and not victims. Don't be judgmental and listen to the problem. Don't ask recriminating questions. Why didn't you ask? You couldn't say, you couldn't do. Search for the solution together with the person. When the situation is over, talk with the collaborator about the lesson learned. So mistake management is a huge point in innovation management. Unconnected, the last one. Trend 7 is about connection that generates a real sense of belonging, so that the company I work in become my company. The way to increase true connection deals mostly with daily communication. The more it is intense, meaningful, and inclusive, the more I feel part of the game. And for daily communication, we intend the manager's one. Concretely, ask yourself if your team has the information to understand the meaning of some business choices. Dedicate yourself to making wider sense of routine activities. What are they needed? What value does it have in terms of impact on the product or on the service? And remember Gallup research, people don't leave companies, they leave managers. So, these are our 7 trends to innovate people engagement, to make people feel aware, solid, open, mindful, passionate, disruptive, connected. Because you know, our people are the future of our business. And your goal as a manager is not to create a great business, it's to create great people engagement so people can go on and do the rest. That's the way to get excellence in performance. And even more, to go for innovation, you have to start from here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laura and Letizia. And right on time. Exactly.
Yeah, just 1 minute left, I think, if someone has questions.
Yes. Oh, we have 3 minutes, so everyone, please share your questions. You have the Q&A box. In the meantime, I have one question for you both. It's wonderful to see the 7 levers. Is there one that you think is most critical or absolutely is necessary that organizations need to think about?
One of the 7, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I can answer then, Laura, if you like, you can add something. I think that the foundation, the most important is awareness. The first one, be aware. Because from there you start, from awareness. And awareness gives you the sense of the individual. because, you know, we have 7 levels. We are not intended to make them like rules. I mean, you have to choose from these levels according to the people you have in your team, because not all of them work the same for people, because each person is different from another. But if you go for awareness, you give each person the tools and the power to make its own road, in a sense, to work accordingly to his own personal way to see life and to see work. So for me, awareness is the base and is the most powerful one, and is where all things begin, in a sense. From there, you can start from awareness. And the most, if I can add something, the most difficult one is the one that says, I am disruptive. So to let people be disruptive. And it is difficult because Laura told this about mistake management, because as a manager, you have to live your own way of see the business. To let your people be disruptive, you must be very self-confident, because otherwise, if you want to feel in control, you don't let others be disruptive. You want to let others do what you say, what you think they have to do. So this is the most difficult to put in the engagement activity of every manager.
That's wonderful. Thank you. We're going to have to conclude. Our 50 minutes are over. We have our next speaker. Thank you again for wonderful. I see a lot of positive feedback, Leticia and Laura, and they loved your visuals as well. So,
okay.
And for those of you who are asking for all presentations, I believe they should be made available via video links. So we'll see at the end of the conference. Sort of check
okay.
Okay, so we have our next presenter, Jakub Kruselnicki. And again, I hope I pronounced that right.
Yes, Jakub Kruselnicki.
And he's going to give us insights on challenges, lessons, and methods for developing an entrepreneurial culture.
Yes, exactly. I have to share my screen in order to...
Laura, unshare your screen, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I think it should be fine. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm here to present the result of studies that we have been conducting with Dr. Henning Breuer from UX Berlin. It's a collaboration between Creative Labs, which is the company that I am a co-founder of and Chief Innovation Officer. And what we do there is we are digging into the topic of entrepreneurial culture. It's kind of a response to startup trend, but from inside out, a little bit like how the corporates are looking on their employees and how they let them to be disruptive. So I think Leticia's conclusion was very relevant here, because in the end, what we are looking in entrepreneurship is unlocking the potential of our employees in the organization. As you can see, the Employee Ideas report states that up to 82% of employees agreed that they have ideas to make their company better. That means innovating in business models, in accessing new markets, or showing new products or processes. Basically, the improvement from inside out is the process that we are looking for right now. And what is the most interesting, we started with the Adobe Kickbox methodology. Our Startbox has originated from this methodology, and we are very much into this self-learning and self-innovation process, which can be unlocked by the big corporate structures. In this sense, we are basing ourselves on a Mark Randall quote, which would be, when you trust people, they meet your expectations. They will own their idea, they will decide how to use the resources and find a way to go further. So basically, in this tiny box like a Startbox or Adobe Kickbox, we have to embed the trust to to the company employees and to their creativity and to their capacity of being disruptive, basically. What we have, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. What we have tried to follow up is 3 companies that have implemented this framework in their own structures. So we have seen the bank, Agro Bank from Spain, which is Abanca, with their Abanca Innova program. Also Rabobank with Innovate program, and then the Moonshot campaign, which is following this pipeline of innovative ideas, and also Get Kickbox, which is a Swisscom initiative, which is one of the those corporates that are following the very tightly the Adobe Kickbox methodology. So we have tried to scan all the success stories and all those implementations within different corporates and see what they are generating. Basically, in both in 3 cases, we can see that they innovate from inside out. Abanca could launch a new service, which was a travel insurance service produced in their own products portfolio. Rabobank have generated startups like an app for monitoring the cattle, investing bot assistant for smartphones, and service with secure payments. And Swisscom also have innovated from inside out with their own employees. We could see 4 examples of it. ThinkDAS, which is plug and play workspace analytics. Then Now Art, which is like a marketplace for digital artworks. A-Sport, video production system, and drone recognition and defense services. All those 8 examples of spin-offs are originated within the company with the employees, but this is only the cherry on the top. Let's see that the program Kickbox is looking for finding the response and mobilizing all the organization, let's say embedding the DNA, innovative DNA in all the employees. So why they are doing this? For example, Stuart Peters, the innovation manager of Moonshot campaign, have quoted a very nice reference, like nowadays clients don't need banks anymore, they need banking solutions. So what big corporations are afraid of in a certain way is radical changes in the overall sector and the possible threats that to the company and its business model. So the disruption of a big amount, big critical mass of startup solutions should be responded in the same way, let's say. That's why they are looking for a startup culture, or waking up the startup culture within the company. Then the constant disruption of the traditional services by technological trends and startup community. This is also, let's say, they have to define their strategy on where they want to go, not only technologically, but from the business model and from sectorial point of view as well. The aims of launching this kind of intrapreneurial programs within the organization are to strengthen the personal development path of the employees and at the same time source new ideas from within the company. So this is a very also HR-driven goal. When you can mobilize your employees, you can wake up their curiosity to influence on their own career paths and realize their entrepreneurial dream in secure environment. Then creating interdisciplinary team, enabling cross-pollination of the organization as a whole. The bigger organization, the more silos structure we can find. So this kind of programs are basically connecting all the proactive employees within the company, trying to find magical connections where they are not naturally seen by the company. And then expanding the open innovation portfolio and the innovation funnel. It's not only working with corporate venturing anymore. It's not only collaborating with universities or external consulting companies. It's also looking inside of the company where we can find non-obvious innovations, where we can find non-obvious competencies. And then all this process is not aiming only on generating those few startups, but it's trying to embed the lean management or lean innovation or lean startup culture within big organizations. In this sense, we are aiming to cultural transformation and looking for a value-driven approach within this. We have different motivations from different angles. If we are looking at the innovation department, they are looking for expanding the innovation funnel, exploring more ideas, scouting for innovators, bringing those ideas towards their scope, scanning them and validating as much as possible in the cheapest and the fastest way possible to get to those diamonds that they are looking for. But there are also a lot of motivations from human resources point of view. This kind of programs that unlock the innovative potential of the employees and let them invent their own businesses within the work within the working hours and within their working responsibilities, are aiming to retain for a retention of employees, evaluating their unexplored skills, the skills that are not obvious, and the company is not like paying for them in advance because they are still undiscovered. Unlocking new staff profiles. This is also like and scanning the managerial talent. The people that pass through the entrepreneurship program, like Startbox or Kickbox, they tend to be more independent. They tend to be more autonomous in their decision making, and their entrepreneurial spirit is showing also the capacity of being a future manager. Then the self-education and competitive employer branding. All those campaigns around it, all those demo days are letting innovators to be seen from the day one within the company. Then the third, the most practical pillar of this of those programs is a business unit's interest. They are looking for bottom-up impulses for the employees that detect and approach new business opportunities. This is very important, and the scope is established by analyzing areas of each business line, drawing this kind of a strategic hunting zone where the future products can emerge, the future processes or the tendencies can be adapted. The winner passes to the new payroll of a specific business line that will host its incubation. So this is also an opportunity for mobilization of the employees within the company and the cross-pollination of the departments. And then last but not least, the recurrent, the cyclical approach of this entrepreneurship program, launching it every year, is transforming the company from the inside out. As Carlos Alvarez from Knowledge Investor, who was working with Abanca, said, first focus on the introduction of the innovation culture and create a movement, a dynamic that generates the talents from one edition to another. And only after a few years, we can become picky about the ideas. The spin-offs will get better and better and more competitive from one edition to another. So what we are looking from the transformation of the company point of view is working with value that foster entrepreneurship, like giving a trust to the employee, giving a flexibility to them so they can, let's say, skip their everyday responsibilities and jump into more entrepreneurial dynamics, at least 10 to 15% of their time during the program duration. Looking at the employee from the partnership point of view, so this hierarchy can be crushed in a certain way, and you can look partners within the employees and look for collaboration with them, being open for new disruptive ideas, and creating this kind of independence at work where you are allowed to explore somewhere else than only the natural everyday work. And then impact of those values. Basically, this innovation-driven culture that is aiming to be implemented in the company is looking for creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, self-determination as a new qualities of the employees that are looked within every of the potential innovator that would jump into the program. We are looking also for multidisciplinarity, breaking the silo structures, encouraging co-creation, using external knowledge from our department or from our team. Let's just look for a broader view of the company and look for novelties, look for advances of the state of the art within our organization. This is basically what I wanted to share with you today. This presentation is only like a very brief introduction to the article, to the paper, case studies paper that we have submitted together with Dr. Breuer. So there will be a lot of follow-up of this, and I think that entrepreneurship in a box, like Adobe Kickbox approach, is something that starts to bloom in Europe right now. Especially Switzerland is a hub that's showing that it's some kind of a obligatory part in the portfolio of innovation of the big companies, but also, as you could see, Spain, Holland, and Germany, they are doing a lot of good work around this. We are trying to evangelize Polish market and looking for big organizations to play around lean management, lean innovation concepts with their employees. So thank you, and if there are some questions, I would be happy to respond to them.
Thank you, Jakub. We only have a minute left, so I have a quick question for you. And thanks again for a very inspirational presentation and showing how entrepreneurship can really create successful innovation. I have a question from Rob Monroe around top management. What's the role of top management in making this a culture change?
Yes, this is an essential part of our paper also, because without top management, let's say, green light and active involvement, it's very difficult to break this framework of work that is that everybody is used to. So only when the top management is pushing this program and encouraging directly employees to participate, it can be successful. If we are looking for a bad cases or failure stories, it's mainly because the management was not really actively encouraging people to join. And then not only the top management, but middle management is very important, because this program is giving flexibility to their workers. So if in your team as a manager you have one entrepreneur, you would have to let him or her work on their idea within the working hours, using the resources of the company, and maybe leaving their everyday tasks or giving a less attention to those everyday tasks during up to 8 weeks of the program. And then probably if there will be a winning product emerging from it, you would lose this employee. You would lose this employee because he would convert into a product owner. So probably jump into another business unit. So
thank you, Jakub. We're going over time, so I'm sorry. We're going to have to move ahead so we make time for the other two presenters.
Of course.
And everybody has Jakub's contact information there if you want to if you have more questions. I'm going to hand it over to my co-facilitator, Alex Booth, who will be introducing the next two presenters.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Karina. Short and sweet from me. We just have Dennis McKeague next on evolving innovation culture and case study.
Good morning. Is my screen shared with everyone?
Not yet, Dennis, but
okay. I'll just end the show and I shall press. I'm looking for the button that actually says screen sharing.
It should be just at the bottom as you sort of hover over the bottom of the screen.
Button.
I see it now. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Everybody with me?
Haven't actually, it hasn't come up for some reason.
How's that? I'm pressing the green button.
Yeah, usually it brings up a menu to select a window from. Has it done that at all? Or?
Make sure your presentation is already open.
Yes, the presentation is open.
Okay, and then you select, once you select the share screen, you select your presentation, you click on that, and then you click on go or activate, I think it is.
Okay, is that okay? Is everyone seeing the screen?
No, unfortunately not. Currently.
Once you select your presentation, I think you have to click on confirm. There's a button at the.
I have pressed screen share.
Yeah, then
Okay.
select your presentation.
Okay. Now what do I press?
And then it's the confirm button at the end, at the bottom, right?
Anything happening?
No.
No, strange.
Sorry, I'm getting it on my screen and I am pressing screen share.
Dennis, could you share your presentation with somebody else and they share it on their screen?
You could send it to Alex or me, and we can.
Yeah, exactly.
Shall we go ahead with Brian while you're doing that? Oh, here we go.
There we go. It's here. It's here. It's fine.
Well, I've got it.
Yes, we can see you. We can see your screen.
Okay, brilliant.
Perfect.
Right, I shall attempt to get this over in time. I'm breaking the presentation into 4 little sections. The first, a little bit about myself that actually led to me being involved so much in innovation with industry. Secondly, the preamble to the case study with Rabbit International, where I embedded creativity within that organization and innovation. Third, when I left the company to their own devices for a number of years, they continued to be creative. And finally, the project that led to the current paper, which is meeting an environmental concern. So 1970s, I was worked in the aerospace industry, R&D on everything concerned with metals in aircraft and nacelles, etc. I then in the 1980s got into academia and developed a system of total design based on engineering and industrial design. I had spent a lot of time with computers at universities in the late 60s, so was working with Ford Motor Company, for example, and developed a system for them. They actually used it for decision making across Europe, but it was computerized. Then I worked with General Motors, realized that their business system and product engineering system were separate, so developed a new product development system and published that in the Proceedings of the Institution of Mechanical Engineers in 1989. By this time, I was now a professor in art and design and realized there's more to innovation than engineering product development. So I'm going to fast forward. I want you to pay attention to one slide. That's a concrete batching plant bespoke. So if I fast forward, what is innovation? The thing is, innovation cannot be defined because it is a non-verbal activity. But if you get people in different professions or businesses to look at what is innovative in their business, they can tell from examples what is innovative and what isn't. The other thing is that each profession, each business has its own key skills, and you have to identify what key skills led to the innovation in the first place so that you can replicate those. Each business has a different generic process for innovation. For example, architecture is totally different from, for example, civil engineering, which is different from mechanical engineering, which is different from art, etc. And finally, you have to get involved in the activity of innovation to be any good at it. What I like is, I like this way of presenting innovation. Creativity has to be involved. You can't have innovation without it. There has to be a need, ideally a latent need that people don't understand that they need it until they see it. Novelty, originality are involved. Values, that what you're doing has to have value to people. It has to be achievable. The technology has to be available. Invention has to be involved. You have to be involved. And finally, design or planning have to be involved. Now, also from General Motors and Ford, I soon discovered that when they're developing new product programs, they do it all under 3 headings. None of them mention design and none mention innovation. The other thing is that all companies use one of these 6 approaches to new product development. And basically what I decided to do was take the Ford General Motors approach and term their approach in terms of innovation: radical, technological, organizational. I also took Booz, Allen and Hamilton approaches and termed them in terms of innovation: radical, company, evolutionary, incremental, market, and organizational. It was obvious when I got involved with this company, Rapid, that they were very traditional. They were a cut and dry company. Profit levels were at about 4%. Their market was UK because their product was bespoke and could not be built on site cost effectively outside the British Isles and Ireland, obviously. So getting involved with the company on a number of innovative projects which were funded by government through KTP schemes and through R&D between 2004 and 2011. One 2-year project was on lean manufacture, Kaizen, Six Sigma, etc. Another one was standardization, commonality, team building, etc. Another one was on marketing. Another one was on CAD/CAM. So the whole thing, the thing was that innovation was embedded throughout the entire company over this period, so that their culture totally changed from production to focused on innovation. And it just became part of the culture. For example, this product used to be craft built. It was a high added value product. So we decided it should be a lead product and it should be precision engineered. And we also applied that to, this is a planetary mixer. The previous was a pan mixer. The other thing is getting the company to think creatively. This is a product we developed under one of the programs, and that was that you can't ship bespoke concrete batching plant, but you can ship units that across the world that have been tested in the factory. So we built a concrete batching plant, one that could be trailed by a tractor and could be exported worldwide, and was tested before it left the factory. This one produces 400 cubic meters of wet slump concrete per hour, but they can produce up machines that produce 1,000 cubic meters of wet slump concrete per hour. These retail for about, well, sell for 400,000 euros. So you can see that the company has, over this period, moved up from being a bespoke manufacturer of concrete batching plant to being a precision engineering company. They didn't have a twin shaft mixer, and some companies preferred that. So they designed and developed their own twin shaft mixer and sold it as well. One of the things that we actually did with them was get them to ask customers what their main problem was. We asked 4 customers, within 10 minutes got the same answer: washing a concrete batching plant at the end of the working day. So we developed a bespoke machine. It's called the Rapid Jet Wash system, which cleans out a plant automatically in 4 minutes. Whereas under the old system, a man had to get inside a mixer. It took him about an hour by hand to clean it out, and another man had to stand outside to make sure no one switched the machine on. So basically what you had was this 4-minute rapid wash cycle replaced typically 8 man-hours of work at the end of the working day, because the typical concrete batching plant has 4 mixing systems. We then seen how we could improve the productivity of concrete batching plant. A typical, shall I say, concrete lorry takes 8.5 cubic meters of wet concrete. A typical mixer produces 3 cubic meters of wet concrete, so it took 3 fills for 1 lorry. We set about developing a 4.25 cubic meter wet slump mixer and applied engineering principles to it. As you can see, there's quite a lot of engineering involved in it. People said it was impossible, but we developed the machine with less stress, less wear than existing 3 cubic meter mixers, and overnight what we did was we improved the productivity and efficiency of concrete batching plant by 30%. You can see from these slides we also improved the operation in the company, because everything was now CAD/CAM and everything was downloaded to the shop floor automatically to the machines that would make the components. We also introduced quality assurance techniques as part of the management system. Now, at this time, by now we've reached 2011, I was 66, due to retire. So, but the culture had been changed from production to innovation. The company went its own way after that, obviously, and I went off to be a part-time Royal Academy of Engineering professor in innovation at the University of Derby until 2017. During this time, this company developed this transmix. It is a mixture that produces 250 cubic meters of wet concrete per hour. And the idea of that is that it can move under its own power around a large building or construction site. So you can see the company was very innovative. And my message on industrial design had also got through to them, that the machines were now aesthetically much more pleasing. The other thing is to address a worldwide market, which is now part of their forte. Instead of making bespoke concrete batching plant, you can see that they developed everything in units that could be put onto a transporter and shipped in units worldwide very cheaply. And all the customer had to have was a concrete base, and everything could be set up in a day. Going further, they then developed a concrete batching plant, and if you look carefully, you can see the wheels on the units, so that these units could be pulled with what we call lorries or tractor units to anywhere in the world, particularly across Europe, set up in a day, and within a day a customer had a concrete batching plant. If they decided to move base, then all they did was bring everything down, hitch everything up, and pull the plant to another site. So business by now is really booming. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you a video of a project. And while this is playing, I'm going to talk through it. It lasts 3 minutes.
Just to jump in, Dennis, I don't think we have 3 minutes left on this talk, because we also need to leave some time for Brian. Is there a way to just sum up in sort of 10, 15 seconds at all? Or...
Oh, is my time up?
Yes, sorry, apologies. It is, we're over the time.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll just tell you about this. It's, we were asked to develop a plant that would recycle concrete. And to give you some reason for recycling it, every day there's 6.4 million truckloads of concrete moved around the world, 3.8 tons per person in the world each year. 5% is waste, and it contributes 0.9 tons of CO2 per ton. The company asked us to take a scientific approach. We took a scientific approach, and basically what happened was that we developed, and I'm going to go on to the last slide. We developed this machine for recycling concrete. That one's in New Zealand. And that is another one. I think that's in Australia. Maybe that's the same one in New Zealand. And finally, because they're now a precision engineering company, they are sought out by the nuclear industry to produce decommissioning plant, because the thing is that even the water that goes into that plant doesn't come out again because it's behind a meter of concrete, which is lead lined. Sorry, that's it cut short.
Oh, that's good. Thank
Sorry
you very
about
much.
overstating my time, by the way.
No, it's good. Just one quick question then. Well, we've got someone here that's asking to go back to the innovation slide, but I think actually the slides will be shared after the conference. So
Okay.
But just a quick question. One thing that struck me from this, and particularly reading the paper, is that it wasn't just one innovation project. You had a whole range of areas that you were
That's
sort of doing something
absolutely
new.
correct, right across the company.
Could you just briefly comment on the importance of that for both the innovation culture and the success of the company?
Before we got involved with the company, it made bespoke concrete batching plant, which is really a craft-based industry, price sensitive, profit margins are low, and as far as shipping is concerned, you're talking about an area of 100-200 miles radius from where the plant is made. We changed the culture of the company to move into higher added value products and sell itself on the world market. So you can see that all the products had to be able to be shipped worldwide. The projects that we used were...
Dennis, can I ask you a favor?
Yes.
There's 9 minutes left for a 15-minute presentation. Can you cut here?
Just stop it now?
Just stop.
Okay, that's fine. Sorry.
Okay.
I can talk about innovation all day. Sorry, it's my hobby.
That's okay. Sorry about that, and sorry, Brian, for the...
You're quite okay.
But we do have Brian Cassidy next on learning to lead remote innovation teams. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to unshare your screen.
Okay. I'm looking for that little button again.
It should just pop up down at the bottom if you scroll down to the bottom of the window. Yeah. Perfect.
Got it. Is that it?
Yep, that's fine. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for a really interesting chat.
Sorry for rabbiting on.
That's okay.
Okay, I think you see my screen right now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got 8 minutes to go through a presentation. Let me see what we can do here. So the presentation is about building a new remote innovation management program.
So, sorry, Brian, could you just full screen the slides? Is that okay?
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so
Perfect.
So my plan was to go through 4 steps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip number 1 and number 2, and we'll go down to number 3 and number 4. Okay. So basically, I had a request about could I create a remote innovation management program? The first question that came up after that is should I? Next question that came up is could I? And how could we do it best? I think like a lot of you, I'm focused on doing in-person innovation. And one of the challenges that comes up is when I've managed remote teams, I've had really mixed experiences. And what I had is a couple of universities that asked me to create a remote innovation management program. To look at the question, should I brought together some traditional innovators and some remote experts. And we had an amazing difference of opinion on the future of remote innovation. To make a long story short, the traditional innovators said, look, you have to do things in person or things don't work. The remote people said, look, doing things in person is overrated. There's lots of places where remote innovation works better. What we did is we had these 8 experts coming together. We had a difference of opinion, and the innovation experts decided to leave our group talking about how to set up a remote innovation management program. The people that remain left with a couple key conclusions. The world is, first of all, going to be moving more remote. Second, even if it doesn't move remote, the torture test of innovation management is remote management. So there's probably a reason to teach a course in this area. The second question that came up is, could I teach a course like this? And the first thing I did as a good academic, I went to look for books, didn't find any good books. There's also a question you have to ask yourself sometimes, can you teach something you don't know how to do personally? And I said, look, I didn't know how to do this personally in the best way. So what I did is five-week sprints on different subjects and went through a learning by doing program. The results that I had out of this were first and foremost an understanding that the challenge is dramatically understated. Managing people remote is tough, hard work. The key learnings that came out were threefold. One is preparation. The hardest part of your sprint is the day before your sprint starts. You have to deal with technology that you don't have to deal with in a normal innovation sprint, and you have to build the skills before the work is done together. Secondly, we tried different ways of managing the sprints. We found that when we didn't have a clear roadmap, people went off in every direction. What we found worked best was day-by-day deliverables, and we wanted to build rhythms and routines, things like daily stand-ups, a live question board. And we also had to take time for the soft stuff of innovation management, which is innovation management and technology. And you had to mix hard work with fun times. There was an important change that came up in this point in the questioning. I moved from a yes, we could teach a course, from I could teach a course like this. The idea being it's not just about innovation management. It's about management and it's about remote access. We also came up with what I think is probably one of the most important things in teaching. We don't learn to ride a bicycle by reading a book or watching a video. How could we possibly believe that we could learn innovation management by reading a book or watching a course? So we had to do something which is learning by doing. We had three options to teach the course. One is we can do it as an online course. 90% of people don't finish an online course. I could do it with one of the universities that asked me, but it's actually students working in group. It is not students managing people. Lastly, we could set up a new type of learning by doing program where people actually manage teams, and that was our choice. But how could we get real teams? The first question is, could we do it with people from a company? This is really hard to pull out a whole team for a period of time, but it's also not very unique. So what we did is we looked at ways that we could get students to be participants in the team. The results we came up with is a twofold program. One is a student certification program, and secondly is a manager program. The students learn faster because they're brighter than the managers, are more willing to work harder. They do the whole program in 5 days. We expect approximately 40% will pass. For the managers, they get 5 weeks. This gives them more time to learn, build, and test. And what will happen afterwards is for the managers, they will get the students to participate in their program with interns matched on a skill-by-skill basis. There is a win-win for everybody in this. For the students, there's the certification, there's internships, long-term skills. For the managers, it's a focused approach. You know, the biggest challenge that comes up in innovation is how do you get people to do something intense for a period of time? We believe they can do more in 5 weeks than they would ever do otherwise. They get students to hire for long-term positions, and they get profound learning. Profound learning is not what you learn from a book. 90% of what we pick up in a class, we forget when we leave the class. This is a way that you can profoundly learn the tools of remote management. The next steps, and this is new for Karina, this pilot student program is starting on July 20th. Target is 100 students. We've got about 15 signed up right now. We're going to offer scholarships to attract the best students. The manager program is starting August 17th. Target is 10 companies. We're pricing at $15K for 5 weeks with 5 interns. we see this as priced against a design sprint, which is 30K for a week. The value proposition for the companies is an amazing amount done in 5 weeks. And for the managers, MBA level program with tools and methods they can use for the future. And I'll make it all the way to the end. So if you'd like to get involved, there's 3 ways to get involved. 1, we're giving out scholarships to good students. If you have a good student that you think would be interested in this and would like to do an internship, you can send me a recommendation. I'll accept up to 3 of your students. Secondly, you can add a case study to the student course. The 1,000 euros is there to cover the cost of the student tuition, but they will work on your case for a week. And for the manager program, what we're looking for is early pilot users. And what I'd like to do is have some consultants in this that co-develop the program. So instead of 15,000, you can come in at 7,500. If you're interested, you can contact me by email or on LinkedIn. I'm the only Brian Cassidy that's there. So did I make it in time?
You did, Josh. You squeaked in, Brian. Thank you very much. And we had, well, I mean, we're at time, but maybe people can stay a minute or so longer to answer. We had one question in the chat, Brian, which was, how did you come over any resistance to change, if any, in sort of implementing this program?
We haven't overcome it yet. We're still overcoming resistance to change.
So to be seen. Maybe you can come back and give us a report afterwards. Maybe you can come and give a report to the Innovation Leadership Group when it happens as well, and then everybody can come there too.
No, but what's cool is we have, 5 companies signed up right now, 15 students. Our target is 100 students by the end of next week.
Perfect.
So we'll see.
That sounds great.
So seriously, if you got good students, send them over. I'll give them a scholarship. They get to do the course for free. You have a challenge that you're working on, add it to the student course, or come join me for the manager course.
Look forward to hearing more about it, Brian. And Brian's contact details are there, as you can see. I think that's it for the session today. Thank you, everyone, for attending. It's been hugely interesting to see all of these different takes on innovation leadership, and it just leads to thank everyone who attended, thank the presenters,